With both the Note 20 Ultra and iPhone 11 Pro Max priced above Rs 1 lakh in Nepal, it is highly unlikely that you'll spend your money on both. That is why I'm here today to help you between the class of the top dogs from Samsung and Apple. Both have their own unique set of features and totally deserve a flagship title. But in this video, we'll be talking about their differences, and then you can decide depending on the one which is most likely to fulfill your requirements. Let's get started. Both the Note 20 Ultra and iPhone 11 Pro Max have their own stunning design and color finish, so it is all up to your preference. The Mystic Bronze finish on the Samsung is a different breed though. A noticeable difference is the thicker camera bump of the Note 20 Ultra. Note 20 Ultra has aluminum framing, whereas iPhone has slightly more durable stainless steel frame. It makes the iPhone about 18 grams heavier than the Note 20 Ultra despite its smaller size. Even though both phones have glass protection on their fronts and back, as seen in many drop tests, Samsung totally beats iPhone due to its new Corning Gorilla Glass Victus. A good phone case will solve that downside, but a win's a win. Also, there are no extra fancy slider and buttons on both phones except for the presence of power and volume buttons. Due to the same IP68 rating, you can stay up to 1.5 meters underwater for 30 minutes with both phones. Note 20 Ultra has a larger 6.9-inch display as compared to the 6.5-inch of the phone. Due to my large hands, I'm able to use both phones with just one hand, but both of them aren't meant for one-handed use. If you want a smaller size phone, I advise you to buy the 5.8-inch iPhone 11 Pro. Another battle is between the preference of curved edges of the Note 20 Ultra or the iPhone's flat screen. Which one do you like? The top and bottom bezels are similar on both phones, but the iPhone's big notch totally spoils the mood. The top mid punch hole of the Ultra perfectly blends in with the display, meanwhile hiding a selfie sensor in it. Note 20 Ultra has slightly more resolution and pixel density, but since both are flagship OLED panels, it is very difficult to pick a winner in terms of display quality here. Note 20 Ultra has higher claimed brightness peaking at 1500 nits, whereas the Pro Max is 1200 nits, but in real life scenario, both are enough for all kinds of lighting situations. Now, where the iPhone completely gets defeated again is the 120Hz refresh rate of the Note 20 Ultra, unlike the traditional 60Hz of the iPhone. I cannot show you the difference in a YouTube video, but I swear that double refresh rate makes navigating the UI much smoother and snappier. I'm sure you already know who's the winner here, with Nepal's Note 20 Ultra getting the Exynos 990 chipset, whereas iPhone's A13 Bionic processor beating even the mighty Snapdragon 865 Plus in benchmark scores. The gap is too huge here. Even though Samsung's faster refresh rate benefits for gaming, PUBG Mobile in Note 20 Ultra still has no 90 FPS option. iPhone can run PUBG Mobile in HDR and extreme settings without any lag or stutter, but we get less than 40 FPS with the same settings on the Note 20 Ultra. For normal day-to-day multitasking, both phones can handle anything with ease. Despite the presence of only 4GB of RAM in the iPhone, iOS utilizes RAM differently from Android, so the 8GB RAM on the Note 20 Ultra doesn't make much of a difference. Samsung does have expandable storage of up to 1TB via microSD card, which isn't found in any iPhones. One thing to be wary of is that Note 20 Ultra heats up easily even when using the camera app or doing benchmarks, but the temperatures aren't something to be worried about. Note 20 Ultra runs on Samsung's latest One UI 2.5 on top of Android 10, whereas iPhone 11 Pro Max recently got the latest iOS 14 update. Now these are completely different ecosystems, so it is up to you again to decide and use the one that you are familiar with. iOS 14 added some new features like widget customization, which was actually available on Android years ago, but I have to admit iPhone did it better. But Samsung has a lot of useful features on the Note 20 Ultra like wireless DeX, link to Windows, music share, live transcription, secure folder, and much more. Samsung has improved its security with Knox and promised 3 years of software updates on the Note 20 Ultra, competing with iPhone's already established strong points. Both devices have free cloud backup for your contacts, apps, and settings, but you'll need to pay extra when you exceed a certain limit. Apple has 3D secured Face ID, which seems to be causing problems to many people during this pandemic, as we all are wearing masks. There are alternatives to make the Face ID work even with masks on, but you need to do some extra effort to configure it, which is still not 100% accurate. So Samsung wins in this department with its in-display ultrasonic 3D fingerprint scanner. It is slightly slower than Face ID, but not enough to make a drastic difference, and it even works with wet hands. Samsung also has Face Unlock, but it isn't as secure as the iPhone. Both phones come with all sensors you'll require in a 2020 smartphone, along with GPS and NFC support. There is the latest Bluetooth 5.0 and Wi-Fi 6 technology, but there is no use of Wi-Fi 6 in Nepal yet. Sadly, both phones launched in Nepal do not come with 5G support, so you may have to change your phone in a couple of years once 5G becomes accessible everywhere. Both phones have very good stereo speakers with loud and crisp sound, along with Dolby Atmos support for all your audio listening scenarios. Here are the audio samples from both the phones.
That is what they all say when they see me pouring some wine. That is what they all say when they see me pouring some wine. We think it's empty again.
Apple Pencil is only available for its iPad lineup, whereas Note 20 Ultra stands out from all other smartphones with its new and improved S Pen that delivers a latency of just 9 milliseconds. And unlike Apple Pencil, you don't have to pay extra for it. Using the S Pen, you can do a lot of things that isn't possible with a finger on the iPhone, like converting your writing into digital text, signing online documents, drawing art, using Air actions, taking remote pictures, and much more. Yes, the S Pen is pressure sensitive and is suited for professional artists as well. Overall, one cannot deny this advantage of Note 20 Ultra over any other smartphone lineup. Both phones have a triple camera setup on the back and a single selfie sensor on the front. Here are the specifications for both of the smartphones. Now you should know that higher megapixels don't make a camera setup better. If that was the case, Google Pixel phones wouldn't be beating all other smartphone cameras. The 108MP main sensor of the Note 20 Ultra does pixel binning to produce a 12MP image similar to the 12MP captured images of the iPhone. The 108MP mode of the Note 20 Ultra does have more details, but the software processing is weak unlike in the 12MP images. The 12MP images from both phones have good color reproduction and details, while the dynamic range seems to be changing for both depending on the scenario. Sometimes the iPhone does it better, whereas sometimes the Note 20 Ultra. Even though both phones have the same megapixel count and focal length on their ultra-wide lens, the one on the iPhone seems to have a slightly wider field of view, whereas the dynamic range on the Samsung is much better. In terms of clarity and colors, both are equally accurate. It's also good to see that switching between main and ultra-wide is seamless on both phones and there is no drastic change in the colors between them. Now in 2x zoom, iPhone switches to its telephoto lens, which is capable of up to 2x optical zoom, whereas Samsung only crops in from its main sensor. At 5x zoom only, Note 20 Ultra switches to its telephoto and the clarity becomes much better on the Ultra, even up to 10x digital zoom. Though the 50x digital zoom of the Note 20 Ultra won't be used that often, it does let you get very close and the letters at that distance are even readable, which wouldn't be possible without naked eye. In terms of selfies, both phones produce detailed pictures with good dynamic range and there is a wider option of selfies for both. I do like the skin color on the iPhone, it seems more natural. For rear portraits, both are very good in ample lighting conditions with proper age detection and high dynamic range. Also, the 2x zoomed in portrait on the iPhone is taken with its telephoto lens, making it better than the 2x portraits taken by the cropped in main sensor of the Note 20 Ultra. The age detection on the selfie portraits is slightly bad on both phones as compared to the rear cameras, but the dynamic range and clarity is quite good. Samsung wins here with its wider selfie portrait option, which is missing on the iPhone. In low light, photos are okay but not that presentable unless you turn on night mode, available on both phones. Night mode drastically improves the picture quality, details, dynamic range and colors. Note 20 Ultra has better noise processing than the iPhone, along with availability of night mode on its ultra-wide and selfie sensors as well, which is a great benefit. Moving on to videos, 4K 30fps ones are the best bet with great colors, details and dynamic range with great stabilization on all four sensors of each phone, including their selfie sensor. The main and telephoto lens of both phones come with optical image stabilization as well, but the fast-moving videos on the Note 20 Ultra seem less sharper and sometimes out of focus when compared with the iPhone. In low-light videos, Note 20 Ultra is brighter due to its larger sensor, but the videos aren't that good from both phones. Note 20 Ultra has less noise but makes the details softer. Ultra-wide and telephoto night videos are worse than the ones from the main sensor. In conclusion, both phones have equally versatile cameras and are deserving of a flagship title. But Samsung Note 20 Ultra wins here due to its 8K video option, night mode on all its sensors and that inbuilt Pro mode. iPhone 11 Pro Max has the best battery in its lineup. at 3969 mAh with 18-watt fast charging support, whereas Samsung has 4500 mAh with 25-watt fast charging. On paper, it may seem that Samsung has the edge, but we all know that at the end, it all comes down to the software optimization of the battery. In my normal day-to-day usage, I needed to charge the Note 20 Ultra by the end of the day, whereas the iPhone 11 Pro Max lasted me a full day and more. I think this is probably due to the larger screen, 120Hz refresh rate, and Exynos chipset on the Note 20 Ultra. But still, I think Samsung could give us better battery endurance with its upcoming future updates. Now in our test, Note 20 Ultra was able to go from 0 to 100 in 1 hour and 15 minutes, whereas iPhone 11 Pro Max took an astounding time of 2 hours and 20 minutes. This may come as a shock for many people, but iPhone needed 1 hour for its last 8% of battery. The temperature on the iPhone at the end of charging was 10 degrees Celsius lesser than that of the Note 20 Ultra, but I have no way to know how much this impacts the battery life in the long run. Since it is not recommended to fully charge your phone all the time, both phones can give you 80% battery life under 1 hour and 15 minutes. Both phones support wireless charging at similar speed, but Samsung can also charge other devices wirelessly on its back. Many people hate it when YouTubers do a comparison video and not give a winner at the end. Well, I'm going to give it to you straight here. Samsung Note 20 Ultra is the clear winner despite the inferior Exynos chipset in it. In the context of Nepal, many people do not buy an expensive smartphone just for gaming. But if you are among the few that do, you should better go with Asus ROG Phone 3, Black Shark Magic 3 or the OnePlus 8 Pro. Samsung secured a win in more than half the categories that we discussed, and its 256GB variant Nemesis costing Rs 46,000 more, I don't think I'll have to prove my point any further. If you have any dissatisfaction with our comparison, we'll be more than delighted to have a go in the comment section down below.